If you look at the economy today, do you think that we've actually lost our way a bit from what has been a high growth trajectory? A 9% kind of talk down to 8.5%, something that had become a norm, has suddenly shifted focus, and we're now at the edge of the green, not anymore on the green.
Well, of course we are off the green, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. I think the larger point now is that as things stand today, it's a bit of a structural issue, and combine that with the cyclical issues we are facing, it's sort of a pretty bad timing to have both the issues. Now, structurally, I think we've got a bit of a problem, right? I mean, investment spending is down. In fact, even savings are down. People are buying more gold, and of course, the rest gets mopped up by the fiscal deficit. So you've got a capital problem.
You don't think we're making too much out of the deficit in a growth economy, or are we? Because there are countries around the world that don't have a deficit of around 5.6%. We're talking of double-digit deficits, and they don't seem to have that kind of a scrutiny.
I think you're right. I think we should talk of this as more of a opportunity where you can actually improve the revenue side. Because if you look at debt to GDP, it's not that bad. The real issue is on the revenue side, and I think we've really got to attack the revenue side now. And there are so many opportunities that are available to the government to get the revenue side going. Whether it's the taxation side, the whole GST angle, government assets. There's so much that one can do. But I agree with you, if you just keep focusing on fiscal alone, or just the debt side of it, the expenditure side, it's frankly unrealistic, because it's not easy to now cut subsidies and take away the goodies that you've given.
Yeah.
So you've really got to look for new avenues of sort of revenues. And I think India has a whole lot of avenues, not to mention that tax to GDP is still not a great number. So I think you're right, because in a high growth economy you can work your way out of this if you get the growth back and you get the tax collections and all the revenue mechanisms working.
Do you think that, again, if the government makes some effort to open up the economy, bring in reforms, will we get back there? And is reform of opening up the economy to banking, insurance, retail the real answer, or is it a hype?
I think in the short run, you need a few confidence boosting measures, frankly. You need to change the sentiment right now. So for that, I think getting a GST done, getting some short-term issues on power resolved, maybe a few announcements of the FDI side, getting the taxation thing out of the way. Just 3-4 simple things I think will change the sentiment. I think that's a short-term thing. The long-term, there is no doubt. I mean, you've got to have proper revenue/fiscal reforms. I think you need reforms on the land side. And you need reforms on the financial sector.
But when foreign investors come to India, that's the first thing they have. It's almost like a rant. They non-stop say, open up the economy, open up the economy. Do you think that that's pushing it a bit?
No, I think economy is open enough. I don't think that's an issue. We have a domestic issue, so we've got to solve the domestic problems.
Yeah.
Got to get the confidence back for people to reinvest again. And this is Indians investing in India, okay?
Okay.
Got to get that back.
Nice. Tell me, how is it being married to a banker and living with competition at home?
We've never had an issue on that, because I think it's been like...
It's always surprised me though.
Like 19-20 years, no issues. We hardly talk banking at home or hardly talk business at home. So it's never been an issue.
Yeah. You and Falguni Nayar ever had to somehow indirectly compete on a deal?
No, that happened in many places.
Because City versus Kotak must be a story often, right?
That would happen very often, but I think it never became like kind of a last two finalists kind of thing. But when you go for these pitches and you go for some of these beauty parades, you would find the City guys coming out, the Kotak guys going in, others. So it was very, very common. I don't think that's an issue.
You guys travel a whole lot. I noticed that you're fond of the winter outside Davos. You're always taking a holiday.
Because when you go all the way there, you might as well just take a break and do a bit of skiing or whatever. Not that we are great skiers, but just going...
Or play snow golf. That's the new fashion these days.
No, not snow golf. But I think when you go all the way, you might as well just take a break, go to the lovely spots in around Davos. But I think those 5-6 days are always good. And there's always a bunch of friends who come along, so it's always good.
How did you shift to KKR? At what stage of your life did you say, okay, enough banking?
A couple of years before I left. I think this India job was probably the best job that I did in the firm in sort of my career. And then the question becomes in all these multinational firms, as you know, is that you've got to move on. I mean, you can't be in one place for 7 years, 9 years, 11 years, and I was already finishing 5 at that time. We'd done 9, 10 years overseas, come back. It doesn't make sense again to go overseas, at least for us. And typically, in multinational
also because
firms,
sometimes you think that if you are in the India story, you're likely to give better returns than in places where there is a slowdown across the world.
No, I don't. I never think like that. I was thinking more from just a career point of view, and a little bit from a family point of view. Moving again, shipping off to the US or Japan or something, and then coming back 8, 10 years later, again you get uprooted. And Bombay is not easy to settle, to find a place, to find even a club membership. So you sort of just about get rooted and you get uprooted again. It was just not worth it. So I think when the KKR and the whole private equity thing was evolving, it was a terrific opportunity to apply what one had learned in managing enterprises.
How did you meet Henry Kravis and what clinched the deal?
Met him through a couple of people we know in common, and we talked for quite some time. I think there's just great people there. I mean, listening to just what they've done for companies globally and what they've done to the industry in private equity was just hugely aspirational. At some point, I think I began to really want to do that job when I didn't have a job offer, of course. So there came the stage when you really want to get hired. Then when the thing materialized, then you get a little bit nervous. I never left a firm in my life. Citi was the only place I worked. Then that came the nervousness kind of phase.
Yeah, the second job in life.
But I think by 2008, it was becoming pretty clear that banking wasn't going to remain the same. The dynamics are changing. And then I began speaking to the bank for some time. And it was very easy. It took us like 8, 9 months to disengage. But I think it all went off pretty well there.
One of the main reasons of missing short putts is that we kind of deaccelerate the shoulder action through the putting stroke.